Alrighty. Now that conference championship Saturday games are done, let's look at what the committee should do. This isn't what they're gonna do. This is what I would do. Number one's easy. Oregon is that's the easiest one right there. This is the F. Easy. Now, everything after Oregon's where it gets difficult. You have to put in at the 2 seed. Georgia has to go in there. I don't like putting a 3-loss team in the 2 seed. But they have to be there. They just, you can't put them any lower than the 2. 2-loss Georgia team. A weird loss to Alabama and just getting blown out by Ole Miss. So Georgia has to go there at the 2. That's pretty easy. I don't know why I said 3-loss. I meant 2, but because I'm still I know why. I'm still thinking about Clemson. At the 3, I like Boise State here. I gotta shrink that down. Really? I like Boise State here at the 3. I don't think that there's enough separation between Arizona State and Boise State. Let me change my Twitch title here. I really don't think Arizona State, and I like Arizona State, they're a really good team. I don't think Arizona State has enough separation for there to be a difference in the 3-4 between them and Boise. I just don't at all. Now, I could be wrong. Committee might look at it differently. Arizona State has a bad loss to a bad Cincinnati team, a loss to a Texas Tech team. They still get a first round bye going in as the 4 seed. So we could slot them in right there now. That's the easy part right there. Those are your top 4. This is where it gets weird. This is where you have to start to value either you got to look at things as how do you value Notre Dame versus Ohio, a 1-loss Notre Dame with a very bad loss to a Northern Illinois team that barely made bowl eligibility. I believe they finished 6-6 on the nose. If I remember correctly. Let's see here. 7-5, I'm sorry. My bad. And how do you value an Ohio State team that also lost to a 7-5 team in Michigan while being a 23-point favorite? But they have 2 losses, one of which comes to your number 1 team. I value Ohio State more. Now, I could be biased. But I value Ohio State more here than Notre Dame. I think they get to 5. I think they've been locked into the 5 pretty much all year, ever since losing to Oregon. Penn State losing to Oregon. Ohio State gets the head-to-head over Penn State. So, Ohio State there. You slot... Again, this is where... How do you value Notre Dame versus Penn State? I think... You can slot Penn State here at 6, or you can put them at 7. I'm going to put them at 6. Which means Notre Dame... Who I just can't get over that bad loss to a like Notre Dame goes in at 7. They don't have good win. They have one good win over Army. They have one good win over an Army team. That is very good. That I am very high on that Army team. But then you look at Notre Dame's other games. That is, I believe, Notre Dame's only ranked win. 2. No, they do have the win over Texas A&M and a low-ranked Texas A&M and a low-ranked 25th ranked Navy. I just don't value Notre Dame a whole lot. Texas A&M wasn't great. Louisville, who they did have, not great. Only a 7-point win there. Navy and Army, they blew out. Yeah. But then they follow it up and struggle with USC. I don't value Notre Dame. That loss to Northern Illinois is bad. That's bad. I cannot value Notre Dame. So that's your 7. Your 8 is where people are going to start getting mad. Yeah, Louisville finished 7-5 though. Like, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's a ranked win, but Louisville. Or no, I'm sorry. They did finish 8-4 with. Just like they lost to Stanford for fuck's sake. 3-9 Stanford. They're not a great team. They were ranked when at a time when no one else was really there to rank. They ranked higher than they should have been. I'm not putting a lot into that Louisville win. It's really hard for me in general to put a lot into a Louisville win. Just because they're, I mean, yeah, that's like, yeah, I thought they finished 7-5, but yeah, that win against Louisville means nothing. Like, if you want to sit and say, okay, yeah, they were ranked, but they weren't good. I just can't put anything into Notre Dame. 8 goes to Texas. I want to put Texas higher, but I can't. They have one ranked win, and it was against Michigan back in week 2, back when Michigan was still ranked. Exactly, like, with the season being over, we can fully look at everything. Michigan shouldn't have been ranked 10th back in week 2. Louisville shouldn't have been ranked back in week 5. It is just so hard for me to want to put... I can't put Texas over Penn State or Notre Dame. Penn State and Texas have the same number of ranked wins, which is 1. Want that to sink in for a minute. I want that to sink in for a minute. Texas did not play the toughest of the SEC. They struggled at points in the SEC, a conference that I do not believe is good. I believe the SEC is really bad. Which should say something, because I still think the SEC is the second best conference in the Power 4 this year. That should say something about the Big 12 and the ACC, because just because your conference is competitive doesn't mean your conference is good. Texas just got beat by a backup quarterback whose only game action was against UMass. And they look terrible in the SEC championship. So they get 8. 2 of their 3 ranked games they've played against Georgia, they have not looked good. They get 8. I've gone back and forth on this one a bit. Why is that underlined? Oklahoma shouldn't have been ranked. Vanderbilt shouldn't have been ranked. Oklahoma and Vanderbilt finished 6-6. Like, if you want to sit and say, okay, then you could say they went 2-2. I would go with 2-2 because they beat Texas A&M and winning you're in the SEC championship. I'm not going to give you Oklahoma. I'm not going to give Texas, Oklahoma, or Vanderbilt. I will not. I'm not going to give Texas 2 6-6 teams. Vanderbilt, phenomenal story. This is their best season in fucking years. They beat Alabama for the first time in 40 years. Phenomenal story. They shouldn't have been ranked 25th. They should have never been ranked. Oklahoma went 6-6. They should have never been ranked. At the end of the season, and I'm willing to give Notre Dame. Okay, I can give them Texas A&M because Texas A&M. If I'm giving Texas A&M, I'll give Notre Dame Texas A&M back in week 1. I can give Notre Dame Army Navy. I can definitely give Notre Dame Army because I think Army should be in the top 12. I can't give Texas... Oh, they beat... Because that's just SEC bias right there, and I refuse to give Texas 2 ranked wins against teams that finish 6-6. Notre Dame slots in at 9 because... Or not Notre Dame. Indiana slots in at 9. They only played... I think by the time the season ended, I think Indiana played 3 teams with winning records. Or above 500 records. If I remember correctly. Let's see, FIU finished 4-8. UCLA, I know, had a losing record. Charlotte had a losing record. Maryland, losing record. Northwestern had a losing record. Nebraska had a losing record. Washington, I believe Washington went 6-6. Yes, they did. Michigan State losing record, Michigan, Ohio State winning records, Purdue losing record. Indiana gets they could be in 9-10 or 11. I'm putting Indiana here at 9 just because I don't really know what to do with the next two teams. I'm going to already tell you, like, I know the committee's not going to do it. The committee's not going to do that. Despite the fact that I think they should. Because we know that's going to be Bama. But it shouldn't be. Actually, I'm missing something here. Forgot, I'm missing someone here. We'll throw Tennessee there. What the fuck? 10 will get Indiana. Really? And then to wrap out, and we'll kind of talk about this. Clemson gets the 11 because they have to make it. We have like a because the 12 seed is where things get interesting. $12 is where it gets really interesting. I think you could put Army in. SMU would be acceptable. It's going to be Alabama, even though it should not be Alabama. Alabama looked terrible. Yes, and this is where I don't like, and I talked about it in a video I talked about it a couple days ago here. This is where you get into a thing that I really dislike. How much do you value wins? Where do you weight wins versus losses? Especially losses against 2 6-6 teams. The loss to Tennessee, okay, that's a good loss for Bama. But here, actually, let's do this so this is cleaned up a bit. We're gonna delete this. Army or SMU? It should be Army or SMU at 12. It's really hard. Really, really hard to punish SMU for losing their conference championship because they played in it. If they wanted to get punished in terms of seeding, okay, then that's fair. Like, okay, you lost, like Penn State and Texas, they played, they lost. So, okay, they dropped down in seeding, that's perfectly fair and acceptable. What's not acceptable is putting Alabama, who sat at home at a 9-3 record, or Ole Miss, who sat at home with a 9-3 record, including a loss to, well, in Ole Miss's case, to a 4-win Kentucky team. It is unacceptable to throw in Alabama. It's going to be Alabama. So I already know that, and I'm not getting my hopes up. I don't like the fact that it's Alabama, because it shouldn't be. Yeah, I'm mentally preparing myself. That's why this is over here in big letters. Because I'm fully preparing myself. I'm fully prepared for it to be Bama. It shouldn't be. If you want to give the nod to SMU, I understand. I would really like to see Army in. I think this is a year where it's acceptable to get 2 group of 5 teams in. Especially because what was SMU's other loss? Okay, SMU lost to BYU. That's a hard one to gauge. That's a hard one to gauge with BYU. Army or Miami? I would be okay with Miami if it wasn't for the fact that you're putting Miami in over SMU, and SMU played in their conference championship. If your options were Army, SMU, or Miami, and SMU also didn't play in the ACC championship, if neither Miami or SMU played in the ACC championship, then yeah, Miami's fair. I don't like the thought of punishing a team who played in their conference championship in favor of a team that did not. But Miami's fair. That would be a hell of a lot more acceptable than that. Than Bama there. And I could see the committee switching around like Penn State. I could see some change. Can I highlight here on Adobe? I could see some change. Let's see. Come on, really? No. This is where I think if the committee does anything kind of weird, where there's gonna be change. Let's see, is how did I screw that up? Probably those 3 teams right there. Boise State and or Arizona State, I don't really think there's enough of a there's not enough separation. Like, those could go either way too, I guess. But those are the 3 where I think they're They can flip those three either way. I think it's hard to put Ohio State or hard to put Penn State over Ohio State because Ohio State went to Happy Valley and beat Penn State. It's hard for Notre Dame to be over either. It's hard for me to want Notre Dame to put Notre Dame over either of those three because that Northern Illinois loss is bad and they just weren't. I don't like rewarding play. I don't like rewarding independent teams that play independent. Join a fucking conference. We'll say it there. There we go. I'm biased against Notre Dame because I don't like the fact that they can choose whoever the fuck they want to play. There we go. Join a goddamn conference, Notre Dame. Made it close there at the end. SMU, Army, Miami, Bama. That's fair. I think, like, out of your first three, you can't go wrong. What would really be wrong is if you get, like, Notre Dame here at 5 and Bama in at 12. Because then they're just setting up Bama to win this game and go here, which isn't right. Like, yeah, this is a. I don't know. I just think this is a year. Two? Or was it 3? Because I know UMass. Did UConn join a conference? Or did UMass? Did somebody join a conference? UMass is joining. So yeah, 2. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, send USC back to the pack. We'll keep Washington. We'll keep. Actually, no. We'll keep USC. Send UCLA back. Send UCLA back, and then we'll force Notre Dame to join the Big Ten. Keep USC because they could at least. Especially if the rumors of them letting go of Lincoln Riley or Lincoln Riley being on the hot seat. USC at least might be able to put a product on the field. UCLA fucking might never be able to put a football product on the field unless you want to just keep them as a basket to make the conference be a basketball school or to help the basketball conference. You can't say that UCLA is heading in the worst direction. It's hard. I think if USC does get rid of Lincoln Riley, they're going to be in a money pit scenario where they're going to be screwed financially. Screwed. I say screwed financially as if we're not talking about a program that's not making billions of dollars. I use the phrase screwed financially very loosely. I think if USC gets rid of Lincoln Riley, they could start heading in a better spot. I could be wrong, though. But yeah, this is what I would do right here. I think I like Army because this is a year where you have the first year of the 12-team playoff. The committee did the wrong thing last year by leaving Florida State out. Yes, Florida State this year was absolutely pure and utter fucking shit. I get that. They were terrible. Awful. Pitiful. Horrendous. Bad. Massive ass. Um, I think like the committee did the wrong thing last year, putting Bama in. Do the right thing this year. Throw that second group of 5 school in. Throw that second group of 5 school in and show that winning your fucking games is important. If you don't want to go that group of 5 team, then you go SMU, and again, show that winning your games is important and punishing a team for playing in their conference championship is bad. I think that's the right. So I think I think they need to do the right thing. They just won't. Sucks to be a school like USC because the hottest name for potential head coach is Jeff Monken. Yeah. I think Matt Campbell is up there out of Iowa State. Arizona State's head coach. He's up there. What's his name? Christ, the name's escaping me. Kenny Dillingham, there we go. I think those are guys that are both up there. Can we... Yes, I know my phone's trying to connect. Yeah, obviously Jeff Monken, he's up there right now. So, like, you only have limited options, and as much as I am on the... Yeah, Campbell has remained at Iowa State. As much as I am on the Ryan Day has to be on the hot seat, who's Ohio State going to go get? Marcus Freeman out of Notre Dame? Yeah. Matt Campbell. There's people that say, oh, Matt Campbell, he's remained at Iowa State. He's been a candidate. Yeah, he's been a candidate for a lot of other jobs, but he likes it at Iowa State. Mike Vrabel. Vrabel doesn't want to be a college coach. He doesn't want to recruit, which, you know what? That's fine. He wants to be an NFL head coach and just say, hey, let the front office deal with your money situation and deal with getting players there. He just has to make a couple phone calls and say, hey, I want this guy. Do we have the money? He doesn't want to have to try and do anything, which in college coaching is a 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365-day a year job, unlike the NFL. So I get why Vrabel wouldn't want to go to Ohio State. And then after Freeman, Vrabel, Campbell, Ohio State's looking at... People are throwing Eddie George's name around. And I like Eddie George. I'm a big Eddie George guy. But your options right now in terms of coaching are just so limited. Unless you think you can pull away Dan Lanning from Oregon, which I don't think is going to happen for a long time, or like a Kirby Smart, which I don't think is going to happen. Like there just aren't great head coaches around. You got Monken. People say Campbell, but yeah, he's remained at Iowa State. And then Rome. Not a lot of coaching options out there right now. So yeah, this is what the top 4 are easy. Outside of the fact that Ohio State actually plays in a conference, Freeman to Ohio State's a pretty lateral move. Well, exactly. Like, yeah, he's not going up in the world of coaching. It is two of the biggest brands of college football. While you have to ignore the fact that it's his alma mater. This is to wrap this up so I can do some editing and go to bed and get this up on YouTube. The top 4 is really easy. Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, Arizona. You can argue Boise State and Arizona State. I like Boise State at the 3, Arizona State at the 4. I like Ohio State at 5 over head-to-head with just on head-to-head with Penn State. Penn State falls to the 6. I am not pro Notre Dame. Because again, join a fucking conference. Join a fucking conference. Simple as that, Notre Dame. It's really hard for me to be high on Notre Dame when every time they've made the playoff or the national championship game, they've gotten absolutely blown out. Because, again, are things different with Marcus Freeman? Maybe, because I think Marcus Freeman's a better head coach than Brian Kelly. Join a goddamn conference. I like Texas at 8, Tennessee at 9. It's really hard. Again, you could sit and say, well, Texas has 2 extra ranked wins because they beat Oklahoma, who was ranked at the time, and Vanderbilt, who was ranked at the time, and I can't give them that because they both end the season 6-6. I can give them Michigan back in week 2 because Michigan people thought was going to be good, and Michigan beat Ohio State. So Michigan, at least there is potential. Michigan's there, but foolproof college football playoff strategy, imperialism. I like it. Tennessee at the 9, like they lost. That loss to Arkansas is bad. Indiana at 10, they just didn't play anybody this year. They deserve to be in. This is a year they do deserve to be in. Clemson at 11, they have to get in as the ACC champion. I can't put them any higher because they had 2 clunkers against Louisville and South Carolina. Yes, South Carolina's ranked at 9-3, but they just didn't look good against South Carolina. And then the loss to Louisville just makes no sense. And then even though it's going to be Alabama, Army or SMU, you can lean Army, you can lean SMU. I think the right thing to do would be just throw that group of 5 team in, that second group of 5 team in. Because Army joined a conference and won their conference championship in dominating fashion over a Tulane team that everybody thought was going to be good and was going to be the group of 5 team. People thought they were going to be a wagon. If you're scared of a second group of 5 team, put SMU in. Do the right thing this year. Show that winning games does matter. Even though it's going to be Alabama, and I'm just wasting my breath on the 12th spot. Yeah, I like Indiana. I like what Cincinnati's doing at Indiana. But they have one of the worst strength of schedules and worst strength of records in the country. At 106 strength of schedule, again, they played 3 teams with winning records. And one of those, they played 2 teams with winning records. They played a 3rd team with a record that finished at 500. And one of those 2 teams with a winning record was Ohio State. And Indiana just got dominated. Notre Dame, Indiana is the matchup, battle of awful strength of schedule. Yeah. Again, and here, so this is why I say this is why I have these three teams in green, because I could very much see the committee doing this. Really? I could see the committee doing that, and Notre Dame gets the 5, Penn State gets 7, Ohio State gets 6. I could see that. I could see Penn State being in the 6, Ohio State being in the 7, which would just be stupid. Feel terrible for Indiana. Have to go to Columbus twice. But that's not what it should be. It should be that. It's just be very interesting to see what the committee does. Let's get out of here and go to bed. Well, we'll know tomorrow at about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then probably by Monday or Tuesday I'll have a reaction video up to it. I'll have a breakdown of it up, and Jordan and I will eventually, for the podcast, have something. Peace.